The order.
Oh, no.
We're done.
Thank you. I'm
Don't-
landlocked.
don't
Do it with the mouse this time.
Yeah, does it? It does work.
Last time I tried to use the speaker.
Okay.
No, I can see that.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. 5:59.
I think it's 6 by now.
All board members are present.
And
Any public comment? No public. comment? The minutes from the previous meeting.
are we gonna do that or should we switch to chip?
We can do that. We can switch. Absolutely. That would be good. You're not gonna listen to
Right.
the minutes of the previous meeting.
That's okay.
Okay, so. I'll just turn it over to you. You can introduce yourself.
Great.
All that.
Okay, for those that have not met me, I'm Chip Clark. I'm with D'Arcangelo and Company. We're the independent auditors of the library. And what you have in front of you is a draft of the financial statement and letters for the the September 30, 2022 financials for the year end. What you have is 3 items, 2 letters, and then the basic financial statements. I'll go over the letters first.
Do you have more of them?
I do.
Was this online?
Yeah. I don't know.
The others.
So the first letter, the letter on top, is titled Communication of Those Charged with Governance at the conclusion of the audit. And this is a standard required letter as part of any audit. If there's any difficulties or disagreements, we would note those in this letter. If there's any unadjusted entries or anything that the library disagreed with relative to our audit procedures, we would note those in this letter. There was none of those. So we were able to perform our audit procedures effectively and opine on the financial statements that I'll go over when we get into the basic financial statements. There are a couple significant estimates that are also included in this letter. One is the compensated absences, and then also capital assets and related depreciation is also a significant estimate. There's no new accounting pronouncements that we had to comply with as part of this audit as well. The second letter is communication of significant deficiencies and material weaknesses. And we've had this letter for the past few years, forever, yeah. And so some of you are familiar with what's in here. If you go to the 3rd page in, you'll see what we've determined to be material weaknesses, and they're related to government accounting standards that have been implemented or have been in effect for a few years that the library has not implemented. The first one is lack of a complete fixed asset inventory. This goes back to 2012. There's no physical inventory of items prior to the 2008. So we have fixed assets, but we had no access to what was on the fixed asset listing prior to 2008. This was actually a carryover from the predecessor auditor as well. So our recommendation is that a physical inventory be completed. You know, we've talked about this in the past. It is something that would probably be costly to have an inventory done. You know, it's not the worst thing to have these qualifications in the financials. You don't have to have full compliance with the GASBs by law, but we are required to note those in here as a material weakness, and it also impacts your opinion letter that I'll go over in a little bit. The second one is lack of other post-employment benefit accrual. This goes back to 2012 as well. This is relative to GASB 75. This would require an actuary to determine what the OPEB accrual is for post-employment benefits. And then we're required to record that liability when it's done. So right now, the financial statements do not include the OPEB accrual in accordance with GASB 75. Lack of pension accrual, this is relative to GASB 68. This requires a pension accrual that's done, it's actually done by the state. And then you would have a proportionate share based on what the school district has in their GASB 68 accrual. So that has never been calculated as to what the library share of the GASB 68 accrual is. So that's not recorded on the books as well. So those three items result in what's called a modified opinion on your financial statements that I'll go over. Any questions before I move into the financials? We've discussed all three of those over back to 2015.
Yeah, it just, there's artifacts and some, and I tried a little bit to try to figure out things, and some things are antiques, and nobody really knows the value and that sort of thing. It was, and it kind of was convoluted, and I stopped. So it's you can hire people and they make some kind of an estimate of what these things cost, and I go, wow, we have so many things to spend our money on.
Yeah, we kind of, not my priority.
I understand.
It's not that it would be
Yeah.
interesting to know, and if somebody wanted to do that, great, we do it.
Good luck.
We're waiting.
So now I'll move you right into the basic financial statements, the audited financial statements. And if you go to page 1 of those financials, you'll see what's called the independent auditor's report. This is the opinion on the financials. And what I just went over, you'll see the first the second paragraph actually is what's called an unmodified opinion on the major governmental funds. And then that's due to the non-compliance with those GASBs that I just went over. And so that's where this gets shown. Other than those modifications, the financial statements can be relied upon. On page 4, you're going to see, because you have to comply with government auditing standards, we're required to issue a letter on internal controls relative to those standards. Basically requires us to gain an understanding of the internal control structure, test those internal controls, and offer an opinion on a letter regarding that. And you will see, and noted in here are those 3 GASB deviations relative to post-retirement benefits, fixed assets, and pensions. You'll see that in the middle of page 4. And then we're also required to include those in this financial statement as well. You'll see those repeated on page 7 as a status of prior year audit findings and recommendation. Okay, pages 9 through 16 or what's called the management discussion and analysis. That's required as part of government set of financial statements. And basically this is an executive summary of the financial statements. It summarizes the information that's in the financials. I'm going to go over the actual financials that begin on page 17. So I'll go over those in detail. But the management discussion analysis is an interesting read to go through and see some of the financial highlights that are noted in here based on the financial activity for 22. But on page 17, we get into the actual audited financial statement of net position for your balance sheet. You'll see total assets here. And what's interesting about government financial statements is actually there's 2 sets of financial statements in a government financial statement. You have the full accrual that's required by GASB, which includes all your funds. And then you also have a set of fund financial statements that break out the individual funds, your operating fund for the library, as well as you have a special revenue fund for endowment and a capital fund as well to record your capital assets. But you'll see total net position, full accrual of 2 million, total assets of 2,230,773. About 65% of that is made up of capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation. So all your renovations that you've done in this beautiful building are all included in those capital assets. We depreciate those over their useful life And record the net value of those assets. So that's the 1,453,352. About 34% of your total assets is sitting in cash, both restricted and unrestricted cash and cash equivalents of roughly 745,000. You'll see total liabilities of 209,601. The majority of that is due to the ERS system, the employee retirement system. About 56% of that is due to the ERS system. And then accounts payable and accrued liabilities makes up about 38%. So amounts that are part of your payroll accrual, as well as any amounts payable to vendors at the end of September are included in those figures. And then you'll also see compensated absences payable of 10,364. Leaving you with a total net position of 2,021,172. 1,453,352 is net of capital assets. So that's part of your net assets. That's actually your capital assets. So it's not liquid. It's not cash. It's actually made up of your buildings net of accumulated depreciation. You have unrestricted net position there of 567,820. But again, those include all your funds. On page 18, we get into your statement of activities. Total governmental activity expenses of 1,295,506, offset by revenues, program revenues of 8,857, operating grants and contributions of 69,564. And then further offset by your general revenues, which include your real property taxes, donations, interest, those types of things, of 1,232,014, leaving you a change in that position of 14,929. Now we get into the fund financial statements on page 19. This breaks out your operating fund. Like I said, your special revenue fund, which is your endowment fund, and your capital fund. And here you'll see total assets in your operating fund of 1,142,972. Majority of that is made up of cash of 650,905. Total liabilities in the general fund of 443,738. Majority of that is you'll see due froms between the funds. That's how we break out the activity between the funds from the financials. You'll see total fund equity of 699,234. Unassigned fund balance in the operating fund of 685,233. What's important to note, and I do talk to April about this, you will see in the capital fund, if you look to the right, you'll see a deficit there of 211,167 in your unassigned fund balance. Those are amounts that you've spent on the renovations and on the capital projects here that aren't going to be funded by state aid or grants or even your property tax transfers. These are amounts that once these projects are done, and we've done this in the past, you're probably going to need to transfer to offset that deficit from your operating fund. So you'll see the 685,233 in your unassigned operating fund balance. That really is probably you're gonna need that to offset this deficit. And you agree with that, April?
I do agree with
okay,
that.
yeah.
We've done a lot of improvements and it hasn't cost us money out of it, but some of it had to come, yeah.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
local share has not been taken out of your unassigned fund balance. And that's why it's good to break out when you see it this way. You see the capital fund broken out and the accumulated deficit. You know, we hold it there, we show it as construction in progress until the projects are done and all the funding has come in, and then you'll have to, through board resolution, make a transfer from your operating fund to offset this deficit.
Okay, so those figures we'll receive and we can do that,
Yeah,
say the next board meeting.
that's right. That's right. And you know, the controller looks at these financial statements as well, and they'll probably have a question as to, okay, how are you going to fund that deficit? So And we'll have to tell them it's gonna be done through use of the unassigned fund balance in the operating fund. So the local share has just not been transferred over. Any questions on the balance sheet here? Okay. On page 20, this is a required reconciliation between your full accrual financials. Like I said, there's like two sets of financials here. You'll see the reconciliation here, which is basically your long-term assets, your capital assets, and any other any liabilities that you have. And mainly the only liability would be the compensated absences that you have. On page 21, you'll see the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund equity for your fund statements. Here, your total operating revenue was $1,240,297. Majority of that is your real property taxes, obviously. Total expenditures in the general fund of $1,203,606. Majority of that is made up of salaries and benefits and other operating expenses. You'll see also in the general fund a transfer from the general fund to the capital fund for amounts that you've levied from the taxpayers for capital project, leaving you with a deficit revenue over expenditure of $13,309 in the operating fund, and total fund equity at the end of the year of $699,234. And you'll also see the other funds and their expenses. Mainly the capital fund had significant capital outlay this year, $455,668, and then state aid coming in on those projects, so $69,559. And you'll see that $50,000 coming from the operating fund of $50,000. Page 22 is another reconciliation statement required, showing the reconciliation between those full accrual financials and the fund financial statement. Pages 23 through 29 are required note disclosures. I won't go through these note disclosures, but they'll break out some of the requirements that we have when we do the audit. We'll break out some of the policies, the accounting policies that we follow when we do the audit as well. And also we'll break out and give schedules on some of the balances that I just went over. Then I'll move you to page 30, which is a budget to actual statement, which will show you in your operating fund the budget and actual expenditures for the operating fund. Page 31 will show you the capital project schedule for the rehabilitation of the Dunham house. And the accumulated expenses there, $455,668 for the Dunham house, and then the financing sources coming in as well. And that's all I have. So I'll open it up for any questions that you might have, either about the audit process or the financial statements in general.
Speak now or forever hold with you.
That's right.
Do you have it? I mean, you can answer the question. Right, sometimes it takes a while to digest.
Yeah.
What it all means. We only have one account, but we mentally have it broken into our operating, and then there's capital and that sort of thing. So we have it.
No, it's not just in your mind, it's on
Right.
paper.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have
We
accounts.
Transfer, but we really have to make a note of the fact that we're moving it mentally to the other, that kind of.
Right.
So that was, and that makes sense. Dunham House was a mess. I mean, really,
Yeah.
we did go over, and we knew we'd have to pay some of it, but it was a lot. It was just a big construction project, but that's okay. And that's why we have the funding to do that. So, don't panic. It's a lot. It's all a lot. Budget's a lot. Oh, yeah. It just seems so crazy.
I think we're good.
So
I think we are.
do we need can I make a motion? Do we need to do that to approve
I
the
think we do.
Yes.
auditor's
Because it's
report?
draft.
I'll make a
It's
motion.
still it's a draft until we approve it. or
Yes,
it's a
that's right.
draft
It's,
until
that,
Thursday?
it's a draft until you approve it, and then that gives me the authority to
Go ahead and.
go ahead
do
and
what you
finalize
said you
it
were
and
gonna do.
submit it. Yeah, yeah.
And then at that point, next month, we'll have the recommendations or the transfers.
I'll make the motion to approve the auditor's report.
Another board meeting, so I don't say all those in favor. Hey, well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's a vote.
Oh, sorry.
I just second it.
Yes, all in favor?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
Silent votes are not acceptable.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have your thing, and thank you,
Yeah, I got a few more boxes that I gotta deliver to Shar, so
okay,
I just brought those.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night. Okay, we're on to the disposition of minutes from previous meeting. Previous meetings,
They were
Okay.
insane,
yeah.
they were so long, I had to do it in 2 parts. Well, it was really the audit was
Yeah.
one of them, and then, oh, the annual report
Mhm.
actually was one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, does anybody have any additions, subtractions, corrections to the minutes for, that was the meeting of the 14th.
And the 15th.
Or 15th,
And the 15th,
right,
And was it also include the special building meeting where we approved something?
I think that was the month before, was that one?
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll approve, I'll make a motion to. approve.
Okay.
Pat. Do we have a second?
Anybody?
I'll second it. All in favor?
I,
Arthur's report, I do not have a report. I'm glad this is done.
Yeah,
I'll start with that,
good.
and we're on to the other thing. Financial report. We have the expenditure and revenue reports for February. And the abstract of claims dated March 15th, April 11th.
the
Which is a-
total, that is $85,568.80.
This is an addition. It's indeed. They give you the, in financials, might as well. We were recommending just rolling it over. Okay. And just keep.
All right, but these two, we have a motion to accept the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report.
Yes,
I'll second.
Okay.
all in favor?
I,
Okay. And then the second piece is, the CD at the Bank of Utica. And the maturity date is what, coming up, April 16th. And generally speaking, what we do is roll it over. There's not much point in trying to switch from bank to bank or trying to get more interest in like exercising.
We lose money in staff time.
So,
So,
yeah, the existing balance is, 12,000. Now it's at maturity, yeah, 12,495. And, the interest rate is 0.798%. Whoopee. And, I think we just need a motion to roll this over for
Is
another.
another account included in there or no?
this is the Bank
No,
of
this is
Utica, the
the-
Dunham accounts in Adirondack
Oh,
Bank.
This is a CD.
But I have those statements.
This is a
I'll make a
12
motion
months.
to
Yeah,
roll it
for the-
over.
For the next 12 months.
Yeah,
I'll second it. All in favor? Anybody know anybody with a better interest rate? Probably not.
They usually gave us a grant last year
I know.
programming, so it works.
Yeah.
They're
that's it.
local.
Absolutely. It doesn't, it pays to do business.
Yeah.
here.
Then they'll give us $500 for a program. So
Right,
that works out.
can't complain. Okay, the director's report.
I mean, I suppose we had, I go to meetings. What's the most interesting thing? I suppose the DAC meeting, I have, some of these, I may have forwarded it to you when it came from Rob, and basically they changed their, email policy at Mid-York. They updated it. Sally might know more, because she sits on the board there. And so they just let all of us know that they would be, just tweaking it, and they, I forgot, there's another, they are also doing something on, patron accounts. So if you haven't chosen or clicked on it to, I can give you all one of these so you can like wallpaper with it. It's to delete records, people, like what people have checked out and that sort of thing, unless of course you want to keep that. You know, some of us do, and because we don't really have anything sinister on there, we just want to know which book we read, 18 months ago. And so we look back. So those of us who don't really want to keep our checkouts a secret, but there's a liability in the fact that if someone comes and they have a subpoena saying we need to subpoena the records of so-and-so. If we actually have it, or Mid-York actually has those records, they wouldn't have to turn them over at that point. Are there, that, I can make more. I did email it to you. I don't know, does anybody really want to have a copy of it?
No.
Do you want to just peruse it and then send it on to Pam? Yeah, she might. I sent an email,
You did send it in the same email with all the other stuff?
not necessarily. I might have forwarded it from Rob.
Mm.
It's Rob's
So it was
forwarding.
originally issued July 19th, 2019,
Yes, got it.
revised March 16th, 20.
Yeah, did you get it? It's just, I mean, they basically tweaked a few things, and it's not really a big concern to us, but they sent it to me and gave me enough for my, I thought they gave me enough support, and I'm sure they're only 4, maybe there's something like around there. Is there anything that you wanted to highlight? It was just there were a few things that they had changed, so basically Mid-York was doing some policy changes and they wanted you to know about it, but I'm pretty sure I forwarded.
And you want one?
Yeah.
It was a while back, I think, whenever we had our DAC meeting, which is what, so the DAC meeting was, that was March 15th, so it might have been that long ago, and that's probably why you erased it from your memory,
No, okay.
because, and then we had our construction meeting, obviously our construction has started. We make deposits to Bank of Utica. Oh, I'm on the Mid-York accessibility work group team. So you'll see I've done some things with universal design. And so here I am thinking, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna learn that, obviously you have to have 36 inches between things, and you have to make sure that a wheelchair can roll up to a desk, and font size and font style, not size, but font style. And you have to make sure that if you have a meme, meaning one of those little pictures, almost like little posters, right? Well, if somebody clicks on that for text, because you can do that, you can say, okay, can you read it to me?
Yeah.
Well, they don't understand because they're funky, right? They've got artsy font styles and that sort of thing. And I went, oh my gosh. I didn't think about it. So I did chat with Christina about it. And I said, when I'll forward the recording to you, just interesting things to be aware of that it wasn't on my radar. It was on my radar that we want to make sure that the bathroom door is big enough and there's enough room for people to maneuver around.
Right.
And that was what I was
There's
thinking.
things that you.
But there's other
that you don't
things
know.
beyond that you need to think about, or even color combinations. So color blindness, or I don't know, like red on blue and weird, so like
Yeah.
make sure there's enough of contrast and you're not putting color combinations together that people.
It's kind of ridiculous that we're held accountable. We have to do these things, but you can pick up something in the store that has white lettering on the blue background. is
Right,
only this
but you
big.
know, that's, that, well,
My
like,
favorite is yellow on white.
Oh, yeah.
right, why?
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things, I've been going through a few things,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to, you know, just try to pay attention to that, and I thought, oh, yeah, good idea. So,
Consider it.
and just, you know, obviously, things to do with construction, and I did go to Hale to get, a book return slot that's going to go in our cabinetry. Again, digital access, that sort of thing. Hey, Kelly and I had a meeting. And more universal design. We did get the flyers printed at Mid-York. I have them. I'm kind of putting in, I was having one of those, like, I need to do something besides email, etc. So I did put a few groups together, 25 in a packet. I'll find a volunteer to do that, but it's been crazy. We had lots of people with messy kid art with in here today. So I can't steal my volunteers from the other people. We give, even our Easter egg hunt, we had over 100 children and 58 adults. It was like,
Wow.
they had it set up. Christina really had a nice organizational situation going.
Good.
But we had to, you know, pull people. Jamie happened to come in to get something. She's on vacation and her son volunteered. It's fine. Like, we can see everything over here. And so he volunteered to run Easter eggs out, and then they collected Easter eggs and they brought them in here for candy. We had a few people double dipping, getting candy twice. But it was cute. We had a Easter bunny, so you could go over here and do the sit with the Easter bunny and get your picture taken. And it was a lot of people in an hour's time, but very successful. And today, another kid, of course, it's school break, so we had quite a few people here for that. And what else? The chimney came down for those of you who were, Pam was here that day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's been just, you know, construction and ADA compliance training, and mostly trying to think about anything else. It was
When are we,
most of it.
when are we gonna distribute the flyers?
Flyers, I was thinking, so like to get them to school on the last Monday of, did I tell you this part? That I'm sorry, who knows? I did reach out, we got permission. I think I put an email that the superintendent, Ryan Belair, thought that we shouldn't do it before break.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were gonna do the last week, I think the last week in April, because we don't want to push it too tight.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so I think that would be fine. It could even be, it would be next week then if we were gonna do the other. So I think the last Monday of April, if we get it to school, then they'll
Yeah.
probably get it out in the next, you know,
Yeah, sometimes.
that week. So that's what we're doing with those.
Yeah.
And I think we're okay. Just hoping it all works out. I did forward to you today Nyla's the legislative and assembly. So it looks good. It's scary to say it looks good, but the controversies over housing and the bail. Those are the things that they're arguing about. It looks like the funding though is a serious increase, so if it holds, I'll be very excited about
I
that.
probably won't notice that. We're so busy arguing over everything.
Well, just, that's all right. Stay up, yeah. So that's kind of it. That was my report for the most part.
So, are you going, because we cannot go into any school functions without, without, you have to fill out all
The
this.
building
Yeah.
use
How are you
form.
going to do that for the future or no?
Right. Well, the future like isn't before this vote.
Well, to say then that we did it, so that if anything comes up, that we have to do that, I don't know.
Well, you'd have to do the building use form.
We will,
for a
and I
specific
didn't
thing.
feel ownership, but they didn't really let anybody except for school related things, meaning like
Yeah.
Right,
the booster club that was part of. the
Yeah, they're
school.
not enthused about.
They weren't, I mean, they're not,
Yeah.
they don't want Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, I mean, there's some good organizations that they would agree with their philosophies, etc. But I didn't get the feeling like, oh yeah, you need to fill that out and that'll be fine. I didn't get
Yeah,
that
you got the
feeling.
idea.
And the
that-
fact that they're gonna let us send these things home with students.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's good.
I think,
fine.
yeah, that's probably gonna do it.
But do they ever get to the parents?
Well, some of
I
them.
don't think so.
It all
Did you
depends
get yours?
on the
I don't know.
parents.
Well, I mean, hopefully,
The
They
people
will.
who look in their little kids' book bags will find it.
Mhm.
They have a take home folder.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And the middle school, who knows?
Right.
You know, high school, some of the kids may bring them home.
Right. And we'll just try, right?
We
We're
can
not
only
paying
do what we
postage.
can
so
do. I
we'll
mean,
see.
even if you're going to concerts, you don't only get
Right, and
certain-
we went a little awkwardly against the wall during that session anyway. I was thinking, I was trying to figure that all out, how well it would be received anyway. So I think we're gonna be fine.
You know, there it is. And people
Yeah.
can choose,
Right.
people can decide.
And I mean, really, they
People who
just
wanna know
had
they
a
can find the
$24 million
information.
plan that they voted on for the school district, so they might think 1.8, that's not a problem. Just open. I just, every once in a while, I look at the numbers and go,
And you know what? Either they'll vote it yes,
Yeah.
or they'll vote no.
and then we'll
And
regroup
then
from there,
we'll-
right? We have to
Yeah.
just,
We'll
we
go
have to
forward.
inform and leave it to them. That's all we can do.
Absolutely, and it's kind of the same group of people who are interested enough in the library to vote yes, or to read the proposition. And there's that small group of people who vote no on everything because they don't like paying their taxes,
Right.
but that's not a very big group.
And we've.
And a lot of people just stay home and complain too, so, you know.
Yeah, people say, I forgot, was that vote tonight? That's the way the world works.
Yeah, and so I'm just gonna,
Yeah, I mean.
because
all we
I
can
think
do-
about it and I stress about it for a little while and I go, you know, I have no control over this.
No, we've done-
I know, we've
done what we
we've done
can.
what we can, and we will do it, we can, we'll get.
If it doesn't work out
Right.
this time, it might work out another
Right.
time.
We'll get them to the students and we'll see how it goes. And it's on our website and it's, you know, I suppose things could have been mailed home, but somehow. I remember Betsy Kennedy saying, you know, sometimes it's better to stay under the radar. So the people that normally go to school budget votes are in favor of education,
yeah.
unless, you know, they're not. And it seems to be how we're communicating now. So maybe we'll just stay.
Have you done anything about that Marcy Matters?
Actually, we did have one of our staff take our annual report. And the documents that we're sending out or
Mhm.
making available. And she said that she is a taxpayer in Marcy and she thinks that the library is a great value. And just thought those documents would be helpful and she, you know, that's all she said. She didn't really identify herself because she's like, oh, my taxes are broken.
That's fine.
She had the documents and she sent it with a little note saying that she thought the library is a great value. And he wouldn't have no way of knowing that she works there. We let that go. She said, that okay? Because she was in a bit of a tizzy. I said, no, you sleep on that. Because I don't know what you're gonna write because you're not happy. I said, and she did. She let it go for like a week and a half. And then she said,
Yeah.
There's no reason not to do that.
right. So she was like, yeah, thank you for pointing out the great deal. It's that because, you know, who's to say? It's surprising all that you get for that amount of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, April, I haven't had anybody, people will talk to us in the library when they ask where things getting, they know that we're doing construction, but I've heard it from at least probably 5 people who said raving about what you're doing here. They love the improvements. And so they're probably talking to people. You know, been done in the library lately, somebody done this.
You know, because it is a bit of an inconvenience. We really have not inconvenienced our patrons very
No,
much.
no.
I mean,
Still
things are
access to all
a
the
little,
programs.
but everything's accessible. I did have a gentleman say, I said, if you need help finding something, let me know. And he said something about things always being changed. I said, well, that's all right. We know where they are. He said, do you? I said, I really do know where they are. What do you need? But you can't find everything. You really can. Nothing. I mean, we did put some of the board games away, but we kept some of the popular ones in there in the back.
Yeah.
So really, almost everything's available. The board games were so like,
Yeah, it takes up a bit.
you know, they took up a lot of space and they were a little out. Okay.
All right.
So
We're on to old business.
we are, and I don't think we have any.
The only thing is the staff appreciation, just to
Oh,
tell you
that's
what's
old
going on.
business. Yeah. okay.
So, I'm gonna pick up bagels on the Tuesday of the staff appreciation week, which is the 20-something.
When is it, the end of April?
Yeah,
It's
it's
the-
the last week of April.
Okay.
So
So
what we
it's
doing?
April,
Or sometime in the month of April.
it's April 25th is the official staff appreciation day during National Library Week. We made a poster, Christina and I worked on it together that we'll put up saying thank you to the staff for different
that's
things that they
nice.
do.
It's nice. I didn't really look at it, but I saw the
So-
flyer that they made in Utica Public has a poster making machine. That's our annual report. is,
Yeah.
So
we
what
right
are we
there.
doing?
We're bringing bagels and cream cheese and fruit on that Tuesday, and I'm gonna bake some cookies. I don't know if anybody else.
Oh, yeah, I will. Some people are still into sugar.
Yeah.
I make so much
Me too.
research.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Very
okay,
fun.
and for the 25th,
yeah. I
okay.
mean, we could drop off things anytime that week too, you know. I mean, if you wanted to bring cookies on a different day, it kind of.
No, but
extends
that's
that
fine.
big
Bring them in and,
appreciation
you know,
whichever
make
way.
a nice,
Or they get it and they have them all week to munch on it until they're gone.
Pace ourselves, I
Are
know.
we supposed to be here?
No, you don't have to be.
Oh, and we also crafted I mean, the poster is like the DPL Board of Trustees wishes to thank or ask you to
Yes,
join.
we
us.
felt
I
that it
can't
had to
remember
come
all
from
the
you,
words.
otherwise it
Yeah.
looked like we
It-
wanted you to thank us.
Yeah. And there'll be something similar on the Facebook page, join
Yeah.
the Board of Trustees and showing your appreciation for the staff of
good.
Dunham Public Library this week, so.
What kind of cookies are you making?
I don't know.
Well, I bet you wasn't gonna make the same thing.
So, are you putting up that poster, you mean? You put it
Yeah,
up
we're gonna put it up like on an easel.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody
On
will see
that
it.
day?
Yeah, on the,
Well-
that'll be up the whole week, the National
Yeah.
Library Week
We could put that
starts on the
earlier.
24th,
Mhm. That's-
so we thought we'd put it up on the week.
Seems like we did.
Yeah. I thought we came when we, did something, you know, just as a, to show our support.
So many different years.
Different
And
things.
on that poster, we did say, you know, part of it was all the things that the staff does for you, like, you know, greet you and your questions, help you find things, maintain the collection, things like that. And the other part was recognizing the years of service. So we did it like 0 to 4 years and we put the names and 5 to 10 years or 5 to 9 years and we put the names there. So we broke them down that way so people could see.
Yeah,
And
that
we
was
would
nice.
recognize how many years people had been working.
A lot of longevity.
Yeah.
Who's Janae? Janae's been.
Janae is the longest.
Yeah, and then
Great.
Rosemary and Dennis.
Rosemary,
I
Dennis,
think that's
Shaw.
been our
Shar.
goal, was to make it a nice place to work,
Yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a different with part-time people, they come to it for a while, but people who come full-time, it's another story.
So Bagel Grove isn't open on that day, which is where I would have gone, but then they told me there's Willie's Bagels
Yeah.
just down the street here, so.
I went there today.
And those, they are good bagels.
They were good bagels. I don't
Very
eat them
good.
anymore. but they were
Yeah.
good bagels.
Sour. Had a pumpernickel with egg salad today.
Okay,
Okay, so staff appreciation. Now there's the,
do we have anything else for old business?
oh, we did the,
Do we? Okay, and we have new business, approval of the 2022, and we did that.
we just did that. Yep, we put him forward. And then Sue already signed the United County contract.
Right,
And then we have a letter from the Whitesboro Fire Department. In the past, we have.
It's a request
We haven't
for,
always.
is that a request for
It's a
donation?
request. So, you know, when the building's on fire, they'll come.
Yes.
That's so, it seems like we should, in the past, we've done $50, but Shar couldn't find
Service.
what we had done last year. So maybe we didn't do anything last year.
Do you,
Well,
I
that's
could
true
service-
this year.
I could service by New York Mills.
what?
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah, so do I.
you do. Yeah,
Okay.
where we live, but I still get that from, I still get,
Yes, they would probably come though, if you had a really bad fire, they would come to support New York.
Cause I give money to the,
He
Yeah,
just did
Mills.
something like that, I think in the last month or two.
yeah,
With your girl too.
I think
It's up to
Are you
you.
gonna make
we
a
need
motion?
to donate to the fire department. because they will come,
They will come.
whether we donate or not.
We would also
I think
do
we could.
educational programs.
Right.
You know,
They do-
like,
they do
you know, the fire truck
prevention and that kind of thing.
How much do we do?
We've done 50 in the
Yeah.
past.
I'll move to donate $50 to the Whitesboro Fire Department fund drive, annual fund drive.
I'll second that.
Oh, well, either, go ahead. Good, okay. And I have, so the fire department is there. I'm done with new business. I have some announcements and communication.
Alrighty.
Okay, so I'm not really sure what these are things that don't need action, so I thought, well, maybe they're more or less communication. Wolf Speed is continuing their pilot. So what that means is payment in lieu of taxes, and we do receive money from them. So, but there's a whole group of people, like the town of Trenton's to Ben,
Yeah.
and that's what this is.
Oh,
Oneida County Industrial Development Agency. I think that's. Yes, pilot extension.
Yeah.
So that's what, they just FYI, they're going to extend that.
We just got some money, didn't we, not that long ago?
Is it like 1,700?
So 1,500, 1,700.
Yeah, 1,700 a month. So I'm thinking what that means is that they're going to stop those payments for another 10 years.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? This is what they're telling us. It must have been approved, so we've.
so they're extending the payment in lieu of taxes
The
for
agent-
10 years?
I don't know if it's spending or not. Hold on.
That's what I read in that letter.
Shar thinks it's stopping because
Oh.
they're building again, so they need to reinvest. The agency is contemplating providing the above described financial assistance in connection with the. Oh my God, it goes on and on. So,
It's hard to read, yeah.
but Shar seems to think that they're gonna stop it for a little while.
It's possible, yes.
We'll find out. If we don't get any more checks, then we'll let you know. So anyway, there's been action on that. If anybody wants to take that home and do that better, but we think it's stopped, not continuing.
Well, anything that they can contribute is a gift, so.
Well, the thing is, they employ people who then pay their taxes, so it all works out. And,
Yeah.
okay, so that is. I put Wolf Speed on mine, but it does say Mohawk Adirondack and Northern Railroad Corp, Genesee and Mohawk Valley Railroad. So that's different than Wolf Speed.
Yes.
This is just the railroads. Which go through that's
Yeah.
why, which go through, this has nothing to do with Wolf Speed, April's just imagining things. Okay, so that's the railroads are not going to pay for where they go through. Okay, there is, I think I forwarded this to you, the Sloma letter from Lori Sloma Haniki. I think I'm spelling it right. It was kind of cute. She caught me on a day that was like, okay, she went through this day for her sister, and it was really wonderful, and it seemed elaborate, and I think we were already a little tapped for time, because it's yes, we want to do wonderful things, but there's only so much time our staff have. I thought, oh my God, you're going to give us a donation, but it's going to cost us more money to do this program for her sisters than we'll take in. It's just sweet. I mean, it's a sweet letter. What she did, she made a donation in kind of living memory because her sisters are still living. Basically, it was because her sister's birthday was in the month of April, and she wrote this letter, which I could read.
Wait, who wrote it?
Oh, her name's Lori Sloma. Daughter of
What does she want us to do?
Nikki. She donated, and what she wanted us to do is just acknowledge. So I sent a thank you note, basically an acknowledgement to both of her sisters.
Because her sister was across the street from me.
And one of them lives like right
And
in
the other
the
one
street.
is owned by my student, my college student.
So
I know
her two sisters are teachers now,
Yeah.
and she wrote a note saying that she just remembers coming with her sister to the library. And she gave us permission to use it for promotional reasons. And I did send it to the whole staff, and the staff was just like, wow, that's really cool. That, basically, it was almost like a staff appreciation letter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from past, but current. So I could send this to you if I didn't already, and we're gonna put it on the Facebook page, and she made a donation, and she talks about how the wonderful things that she did, and how her Shirley Sloma, was an attendance officer, but I knew her at the end of my career. She worked as a library aide in the high school library, and their dad was on the school board.
Is that the school board?
Yes,
Yep.
And
so
all
this
of
is
our
Lori, that one of their children
Lori,
who wrote this, so she donated money, and
most
so
of our
it
teachers.
was cute.
Yeah.
And she just wanted the library to send like notices to the sisters saying.
Just to this, I sent her a thank you note, and I sent the sisters, basically, I copied this, and so each of them got a copy of this letter, and
And a little note that says.
I just
money
sent-
was donated. in-
Exactly.
Yeah.
And basically, their birthday present was to the library. I mean,
that's
maybe
nice.
she sent them something else, so it was cute.
Oh,
But we came up with that because she wanted something a little bit more elaborate, and I'm like, well, it's even sometimes even when somebody donates a book, it's fine, they want a specific book, so they have to go shopping, that's bad. And then they want a book plate, and then you have to make the book plate and put it in, it's like,
So what did she,
Well-
did she request anything?
she gave us this letter. So it took us a while, because there were a couple of emails and a couple of phone calls. And then she's hoping this letter will inspire other people to do something like that.
Yeah, so.
So it works out.
So when somebody donated to Jervis Library in memory of my mother when she
Mm-hmm.
died. And Jervis Library chose a book, they sent me a little card saying, so-and-so donated some money, we received this donation, and money has been used to purchase these books. And that was it.
Yeah,
That was kind of
That
nice.
was, it is
My
nice to
mother
do that.
too did that, and they just said that they used it,
Yeah, it was kind of neat. The Jervis Library told me the books that they purchased and whatever. It was
Nice
like-
of them. I'll acknowledge, and I also give them the dollar amount that
Right.
was, I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what we
if
do
it's
for that.
necessary.
We don't do
No,
that for
it's-
donations and memorial donations, but some people make donations, and then in the thank you note, I write
Right.
the amount so that if they're taking that off on their taxes or whatever, then there's a record of it. We have had some people that have donated in memory of a parent or whatever, and then I just keep track of it, and then I send that to the person
Right.
whose loved
Yeah.
one passed away or
Right.
whatever.
Gee, she's my old neighbor, I mean, I just talked to her about that. I'll
Do we have-
thank her.
Yeah, that was nice.
I know.
Do we have any other
But I
announcements or communication?
do not, there was a lot for communication.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Does our email does anything go to our email, because my email's wrong, and I went through all these things, like maybe it was
So you didn't receive like this packet of stuff for the meeting?
no, I get that from you.
Oh.
But somewhere my email's wrong, I think when they list all of this, so nothing happens anyway, we don't.
Oh, the
Did anybody
draft,
get
I
anything?
think we changed it though on the annual report. I have.
I
to
just wondered, I went through a lot of.
I will check your email. That's what you want, an official documents, you want me to make sure?
Well, I don't know if you get things that I'm not getting, that's the only thing.
It wouldn't bounce back to me, I don't think.
You know.
I mean, it would just bounce back
I
to the
don't know
person
if
sending
people
it.
are getting things that I'm not getting because my email is
I
different.
don't think, I mean.
I mean,
I
I
don't think there's any way for me to know that.
You know, it's.
If I send it to the wrong
No,
email,
I
it'll come
got
back to
everything
me.
from you.
Yeah, okay.
But I just wondered if there was something I'm missing out on.
I
It
don't,
doesn't matter.
right? You get so
You know,
much
you know,
stuff.
when they
all
list
the
all
time.
of our names and everything, they hit our email.
I
just
New
wondered.
York State has it correctly. I should double check to make sure Nyla has it correctly. Do you guys get things from New York Library Association?
Yeah.
Do you get- Okay, then
No,
Nyla has
no,
it.
I don't.
Not in a while.
Yeah, I got something
I
just
got something
recently.
right
now.
Oh, an email.
Emails, just emails.
I bet you meant.
No one's,
No.
there is no, they don't print the bulletin anymore. So it would be New York Library Association sends things out.
Yeah,
Yeah. They did today.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
no, I don't receive that.
okay,
So
do
maybe
we
they
check
they
it
might
out.
have my old email.
They might.
do we have a motion to adjourn?
Okay,
We have a second?
sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. All in favor?
Uh,
I
I believe it was the railroad. I can't believe that was the railroad.
The next meeting
I'm not worried about what
is
we
May,
do.
May 9th.
It is,
Yeah.
I will be
Very month of May.
in Austin on the Friday before the Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. But I will be here on Tuesday.